expert in national security matters. They all are here on the dais. So, you will be benefited by this very valuable session on artificial intelligence. Today, you know, the younger generation knows, the students, they know that this artificial intelligence is a friend and foe both for the legal professions. This will be, the several aspects of this matter will be highlighted. आप लोग कृपया बैठ जाएं। हमारे मेंबर बार काउंसिल्स में देख रहा हूं, आपको बैठना है तो बैठें, बाहर जाना है तो जाएं, हॉल में इधर उधर ना घूमें। Where are you going? Go and sit there. Go there. भेजिए उसको. All the students. Now you come and conduct. Bouquet.
Today is the most historical day in the history of the Bar Council of India, because the first time in the history of Bar Council of India conducted the International Lawyers Conference organized by the Bar Council of India, and I should congratulate Mr. Manan Kumar Mishra, the chairman of the Bar Council, and the Mr. Prabhakaran, vice chairman of the Bar Council. They have conducted this program with a great dignity and honor. I have a great privilege to extend warm welcome to Honorable Justice P.S. Narasimha, the Judge Supreme Court of India, to occupy the chairman of this session. And I request Mr. A. Ramireddy to extend bouquet to Honorable Justice P.S. Narasimha. Bouquet, inshallah. I also extend warm welcome to our own judge, Justice Arvind Kumar. He was the former judge of Karnataka High Court, as well as the former judge of the former Chief Justice of Gujarat High Court. Sir, I request Mr. Dilip Patel to extend bouquet to Justice Arvind Kumar. Then I request Mr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy to extend the bouquet, sir. I also extend warm welcome to Mr. Justice Rajiv Shekdar, Judge, High Court of Delhi, as a co-chairman of this session. I request Mr. Nagireddy, member, AP State Bar Council, to extend the bouquet. Next. I heartily welcome Mr. S.C. Raju, Senior Advocate, Additional Solicitor General, Supreme Court of India, as a speaker. Then I request Mr. Narasimha Reddy, the Chairman of the Andhra Pradesh Bar Council, Telangana Bar Council, and Gadda Ramarao, the Chairman of the AP Bar Council, and Vice Chairman Sunil Gowda. I heartily welcome Madam Aishwarya Bhatti as a speaker. Then I request Mr. Anjali Dwivedi to extend bouquet to Madam. Mr. Javid, Mr. Mohan Rao, please come and extend the. Next. Where is that? Sorry, I request Mr. Dilip Patel to extend the bouquet to Madam. I welcome Sri Amit Dubey as a speaker to this session, and I request Mr. Amit Ved to extend bouquet. पाँच नंबर में है. Kolli Satyanarayana, please come and extend the bouquet to the Amit Ved. Mr. Bhujangarao is also. I also welcome Senior Advocate Aruneshwar Gupta. I request Mr. Bhuvanesh B. Burma. No, he's not there. I request the chairman of the session to take over the phone.
Good afternoon. My pranams to all elders and best wishes to friends. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the Bar Council and its chairman for organizing this International Lawyers Conference. And it's not a small affair. It needs a great amount of organizational abilities. And my short glimpse of Mr. Manan Kumar Mishra just now, apart from great organizer, I also think he's a very good disciplinarian. And I was wondering what would have happened to the lawyers if he had become a judge. The topic of today, artificial intelligence transforming the legal landscape. Being a full-time lawyer in the civil, criminal, as well as a writ jurisdiction, the questions that arise in my mind, I think would have arisen to many of the hardcore practicing lawyers. First question is that what is the relevance of this artificial intelligence to them? Second is that is it going to enhance the practice or is it going to adversely affect the practice? These are some of the questions, and many more questions will arise, and the distinguished panel that we have today is going to answer many of those questions. I'll be short. Being the chair, I just want to indicate what the procedure that we follow. One preliminary remark is that what we all are, is our culture. And what we use is our civilization. What we are is our culture, what we use is our civilization. In between these two extremes is a choice. The choice will be exercised by the power of the will and with knowledge. And for knowledge, we need to know where we have to take our civilization to. The reason why I'm saying this is artificial intelligence has come into our lives. So we really need to know what it is, how to use it effectively, how to prevent its insidious intrusion into our lives so that we can manage it properly. These are factors which we get to know. We have an excellent panel which is going to tell us how to understand it, how to use it, and how to prevent it. Science enters our life in ways which we really don't know. There were times when we had a manual typewriter, and that's all history now. We all use mobile phones. Sitting here, many of us who say that I'm not technologically forward or that I find it very difficult to understand technology, even without realizing, sitting here would have been sending messages through your mobile phone, which is nothing but transfer of data. You would have received data. All these things enter our lives, take control of us, and we really have to live with them. That is the technique of commerciality which takes over science. Artificial intelligence has entered our lives. One great advantage which I have seen myself, I'll just share with you. We had an idea of integrating this country and had a committee to translate the judgments of the Supreme Court, which are in English, to regional languages, which we could not do till now. And it needed a person who would have the command over both the regional language as well as in English. That would have taken a lot of time. But today, through machine learning, the process is so quick that we can translate almost 300-400 judgments in a short period of time. You can imagine the greatest advantage that artificial intelligence is going to give you in matters such as these. It integrates the country. It breaks the language barriers. And the knowledge which is, some of the greatest knowledge which is embedded in the regional languages, it prevents one other language to get even a sight of that, because the only medium would be English. And those who are not interested in translating, or those who don't have the commerciality to translate, that knowledge remains. You can't even have a glimpse of such knowledge. This is the advantage that you get. by having artificial intelligence introduced to law. I have another dream of enabling law colleges to start imparting education in regional languages, so much so our district courts can start utilizing the regional language for the purpose of proceedings before the court, at least till the district level. So you need also the textbooks, you need the teaching methods. All that is now possible through artificial intelligence. There is a flip side to this, which is that it is said, our panelists will tell us, that it insidiously, it enters our lives in a manner that it begins to, over a period of time, even determine our choices. It can predict our ways of life. This is rather dangerous. So therefore, how to understand it, where should we draw the line? These are aspects which we need to look into. We have now before you excellent team. My learned brother, Justice Arvind Kumar, has good experience in this area. Being the Chief Justice of the Gujarat High Court, he was one of those foremost who have introduced technology and has done a good job. Everybody talks about it. His introduction of these in the High Court, being the Chief Justice at that point of time. So he will give you a glimpse of what artificial intelligence can do and how it can upgrade our lives. Rajiv Shagda, Justice Rajiv Shagda, another bright star in the area of artificial intelligence. He has acquired over a period expertise in this, and he is advising many courts on how to adopt and what is the necessary protocol for its implementation and guidelines to be followed. He is also going to share his experience with you and tell you where to, how much to obtain, where to draw a line, and how to understand it. S.V. Raju, Senior Advocate and Additional Solicitor General, again domain expert in criminal law. With his experience, he is going to share with you the impact of artificial intelligence in the livelihood of lawyers. He will also tell you about how through artificial intelligence a lawyer can proliferate, which I am waiting to hear him. And he will also explain how one can be efficient and accurate being a lawyer with the aid of artificial intelligence. Aishwarya Bhati, Learned Senior Counsel, ASG, is going to share with you and her thoughts on the impact of artificial intelligence on our lives. And she will also tell you about how it should be used with a human touch. It's again a very interesting speech of her, which we will all be benefited. She will also share her views, how it increases access to justice, and she will conclude with a note of caution. And finally, we have a real domain expert in Mr. Amit Dubey, who is also the go-far man for all investigative agencies because of his expertise in the cyber crimes. He is going to tell us the connectivity of artificial intelligence for lawyers. After the deliberation, after the speeches of our panelists, if we have some time, we will take some questions and we will ensure that this is going to be a very fruitful and a successful session. Thank you very much. May I now request Justice Arvind Kumarji to make his presentation. He has also a PowerPoint presentation. Watch it, it will be very interesting.
A very good evening to all the dignitaries who have assembled here. Respectful, esteemed brother, Justice Narasimha, Justice Rajiv Shakta, Mr. Raju, and Mrs. Bhati, learned Additional Solicitor Generals of India, Mr. Dubey, domain expert, and all other dignitaries, including the office bearers of the Bar Council of India, and my friend Sadashiv Reddy, special mention because he is from Karnataka. Sabhabhya Sabhapatibhyascha vo namo namaha. Saluting to everyone. Keeping in mind the time constraint, and we were supposed to start at 3:45 and we are late by 45 minutes. So we have time for 45 minutes, 1 hour 15 minutes from now on. So mentally be prepared to hear all of us for this long period. The moment we say artificial intelligence, see many advocates and younger would-be advocates who are yet to start the practice, though they are fully conversant with the technological advancement, would be thinking as to how this artificial intelligence can be put to use in the judiciary. So keeping this in mind, I have formulated 6 questions or 9 questions to be answered. And broadly speaking, the questions are, how do we understand this artificial intelligence? What do you mean by artificial intelligence? According to the Britannica, artificial intelligence is the ability of a digital computer or a computer-controlled robot to perform the tasks commonly associated with human intelligence. In other words, we prompt a machine to adopt the intelligence of a human being. So you can understand this, that it cannot be a replacement for human intelligence. Human intelligence prevails over the robotic intelligence. Be that as it may, it involves ability to reason, discover meaning, generalize or learn from past experience. According to Merriam-Webster, artificial intelligence has 2 components. Number 1, a branch of computer science dealing with simulation of intelligence behavior of computers. 2, the capability of a machine to imitate human behavior. In other words, AI, as we normally call it, is construed as computers with capability of learning, understanding, processing information, analyzing it similarly like human beings. It is an emerging field aimed at building of thinking machines. AI is intended to demonstrate understanding and reasoning skills with breadth and depth of knowledge that allows easily to traverse vastly unrelated topics and use cases just as a human being can do. Given a problem, when we think of addressing this issue, we will think as judges, as persons trying to resolve the impasse from different directions, different angles. And this is what this artificial intelligence would do. The next question would be, what is the Indian perspective of artificial intelligence and the law regulating, if any? Let me be candid to say that there are no specific laws in India except the recently framed and introduced Digital Personal Data Protection Act. The Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology has constituted a committee to bring a policy framework of artificial intelligence. The Niti Aayog has developed a set of 7 responsible artificial intelligence principles, which include safety and dependability, equality, inclusivity, non-discriminatory, privacy and security, transparency, accountability, and protection and reinforcement of positive human values. In India, the primary legislation for data, as I said earlier, is the Digital Personal Data Protection Act and also the Information Technology Act and the rules made thereunder. This Digital Protection Act was introduced on 10th August 2023, and it covers several issues. The next incidental question which would arise for our deliberation would be, what potential does artificial intelligence has in the governance of law? AI has a lot of potential in administration and governance of law in society, especially for those countries where there are huge arrears of cases and the present system is carrying huge burden of backlog of cases, as is happening in our Indian judiciary. All techniques could be employed for reducing the delay. Till now, it was solely dependent on human activity. With the supporting new technologies like predictive coding, predictive analytics, e-dictionary, e-reviews, knowledge, representation, natural language processing, deep neural networks, and machine learning, the delays can be curtailed. How we can employ this AI for reducing the delays is the next incidental question, and particularly in the day-to-day administration of justice and or speedy disposal of cases. In a country like ours, the language was acting as a barrier for higher courts to decide certain cases. For instance, the documents, depositions, mahzars, exhibits would normally be in the local language. Having visualized this problem, the Honorable Supreme Court formulated an application, what is known as SUFACE, which was earlier informed to this august audience by our Honorable Chief Justice. It is under his leadership, when he was the chairman of the IT committee, this SUFACE was brought into, which translates 9 languages, local languages, into English and vice versa. For the purpose of deciding a case, the presiding officer or the judge, as the case may be, has to understand the contents of the document. That, especially, as I said, the higher forums, higher courts, like the High Court and the Supreme Court. And for that purpose, many a times, even today, the learned advocates are fully aware that many a times the documents, when presented in the courts, will be in vernacular language, and the matter gets adjourned for the purposes of the said translated copy being placed before the presiding officer. It may be necessary that the translated copies or even typed copies of such documents would be necessary for deciding an issue relating to bail or suspension of sentence or granting an interim order of stay or injunction. And in such cases, according to me, the AI tool can be utilized for not only for translation, but also for getting the neat typed copy of the existing document. Yet another area where AI technology can be put to use, which would yield results for speedy disposal, would be analyzing and extracting relevant information from hundreds and thousands of pages. Especially in our courts, in Supreme Court, it so happens there will be minimum 300, 500 pages. Many a times, by virtue of burning of the midnight oil, the judges spending their time reading the file, this will consume their physical activity, physical time. So in such circumstances, this AI tool can be made use of. Necessarily not by accepting what the information we gather, but that can be used as a foundation. It can be used as a tool for deciding, which will reduce the delay in reading the file. When this AI is used, it would start analyzing and learn patterns on how judge. Now the system is as such, certain softwares which are even available in open source. You give a pattern to it, it will decide as to what is the outcome of that, considering the nature of the case, the nature of the dispute, the parties who are at the list, and what the judge is thinking. Suppose that judge in the past has passed similar orders. It will take into consideration the earlier orders, and what would be his or her thinking would be taken into consideration while analyzing this and giving out the result by analyzing this 500 or 1,000 pages in a concise form of 2 to 3 pages. Based upon this training which is given to the machine, the system would be able to pick out most relevant information from thousands of pages and present a concise information. The next question would be, what would be the accountability of AI and on whom? What is the law governing on this issue? Every coin has two sides, and while there are many benefits to be reaped from AI, challenges are emerging and issues that requires to be addressed to avoid disastrous consequences emerging therefrom. In my perspective, the lawmakers would face a situation while legislating on AI accountability, and I think Mr. Dubey can throw some light on this, or the lawmakers can consider these aspects. AI's accountability, namely, who should be made accountable for an AI's unlawful act or conduct, namely, whether the developer should be proceeded with, whether the person who has given or fed the AI, should he be prosecuted for his unlawful act, or the person who gives the unlawful command, whether he should be proceeded, or the person who gives the data to the machine, he should be proceeded, or the AI itself, is the question which will have to be looked into and examined. At present, the legal system around the entire globe find either the developer or the owner being liable for the unlawful actions of omissions of an AI. Recently, I have seen in the United States of America, one of the courts have developed what is known as component part doctrine while deciding the case in the matter of Jones versus Automation, Incorporated, and reported in 818 New York's Service Report, 2nd edition, page 396. The case was very simple. This was a case where a robot gantering system struck or hit a person who was outside the protected area or inside the protected area and not within the area which was considered as danger zone. But unfortunately that hit him and he fell down and he sustained injuries and he sued the company which was owning that robot for damages. And ultimately applying the principle of component part doctrine, the court held that the manufacturer of the robot was not liable because the owner who bought the robot installed the robot without an interlock system, which would have stopped the mission when people were present within the danger zone, that is behind the safety fence. The court also did not find that the manufacturer liable under the component part doctrine, according to which a manufacturer of a non-defective component part of a product was held to be not liable if it is incorporated into another product and might be defective. In United Kingdom, an AI committee in the House of Lords has been recently formed to frame policies and provide recommendations for regulating AI. The countries forming European Union have also come up with a German Traffic Act which imposes the responsibility for managing automated and semi-automated vehicle on the owner. And the last question, which would requires further deliberation, and the bird's eye view would be, what are the challenges with the use of AI system that the legal sector or the judiciary may face? In my understanding, the contemporary issues which would emerge or pose a problem to the legal sector by use of artificial intelligence tools and techniques are learning bias in algorithmic decision making, transparency, interpretability in algorithmic decision making, and C, illusion of mathematical objectives and fairness, and 4, data privacy. All the four, I will just give a bird's eye view. The first one relating to learning bias. In learning bias, the researchers have found that learning pattern from data can be biased against a certain group. Suppose now, if we adopt AI and give that machine with reference to bail orders, that is one of the large issues which is bothering the judiciary. Just now, Mr. S.V. Raju, Additional Solicitor General, was showing me a judgment of one High Court where it was based on a AI input received. The bail petition was decided, which has been subsequently set aside by the Apex Court. Now the question is whether that itself can be used as the basis for deciding a bail plea. My answer would be in the negative, for the simple reason that, as I said in the beginning, it is the ultimate human intelligence or the judge's objective assessment and subjective satisfaction which would be the pivotal role, which would be the pivotal issue for deciding the bail petition or an application. The dependency on the machine would be to a certain limited extent. But to reduce the physical work, as I said in the beginning, instead of reading 500 pages one by one, without which we cannot decide, this task can be entrusted to that. Recently in the United States, it so happened, one of the matters which went to the higher courts, it was found that particular judge was ideologically against a particular group, and the machine learning was to such an extent that it was giving a report or analysis in favor of only one particular group. This was found to be erroneous, and the higher court set aside this order. Then interpretability in algorithm is also called as black box problem. Normally machine learning software, which are designed to train itself with data sets, which changes the algorithm design and it becomes complex. The objectivity and fairness of algorithmic decision making would pose definitely a problem. It is assumed the computer is more neutral, objective and accurate than a human. However, the fact remains an AI system working is far than obscure and subjective than they appear to be. For instance, if a judge does not bother to inquire on the result giving by taking note as to what parameters were being used. Tools like facial recognition, and the other would be the data protection. Many instances now at airports, railway stations, bus stands, public places, this facial recognition is taken into consideration. And many times, the non-availability of the clear picture based on doubts or surmises and conjectures, if a conviction were to take place, and an innocent person is being convicted, it would lead to disastrous consequences. These are the aspects which I think would require some deliberation and also attention by the lawmakers so as to plug all these loopholes. And once again, I thank the Bar Council members for giving me an opportunity to be in your midst and share my thoughts. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, brother. That was a great exposition. You have covered very many topics, including the lack of regulatory regime, importance of language, translation, very importantly about accountability, bias detection, decision-making, data privacy, and the ability to prepare and submit a summary of a large document. Now may I request my dear friend, Justice Rajiv Shakda, to give his exposition, particularly because of the expertise that he has on this subject. Please do welcome him.
Honorable Mr. Justice P.S. Narasimha, Honorable Mr. Justice Arvind Kumar, Mr. S.V. Raju, Ms. Aishwarya, and our National Security Expert and Crime Investigator, Mr. Amit Dubey. Good evening. Normally, when we have sessions after lunch, I call them graveyard sessions. But this has gone well beyond lunch, and I can see all of you have gone to sleep. But anyway, since you have to suffer me for another 5-10 minutes, I promise not to make it too long. But one thing you would have discovered is by the time Justice Arvind Kumar finished, there is very little left to comment on, especially by a generalist. And by the time I finish, it comes to Mr. Raju and Ms. Bhatti. They would think, what is it that we are going to say? Not because they don't have things to communicate to you, but this is the power of internet. The source of knowledge is there. All of us are gleaning information from the same source. It is how we use the information is what distinguishes, say, for example, in this conference, one speaker from the other. Now, we are talking about artificial intelligence. What we need to understand is that this word is bandied about very frequently. Everyone says, AI se kar lena, ChatGPT se kar lena. You know, I'm just trying to be a little colloquial. Why? Because I find that every third person talks about this without really understanding the upsides and downsides of AI. AI is artificial intelligence. Now, it is not an esoteric term. It only means, as Justice Arvind Kumar also explained a little while back, it is an imitator of human intelligence. Now, there are two kinds of AIs that we have. One is called supervised AI. The other is called unsupervised AI. Supervised AI is not so dangerous. Why? It is sort of trained on labeled data sets. That means you have certain set data sets, you train the machine, and it gives you an output. So the input is equivalent to output. It's like a human being. What you eat, you sort of grow into that kind of a person. I'm just broadly giving you. Now, unsupervised AI, when it is used, it uses a cluster of data and then comes to its own conclusion. Now, if you asked an unsupervised AI to explain as to how it came to a particular decision, it's very difficult to ask them that, or at least the person who has made the algorithm may be able to tell you, but sometimes even he's not able to tell you because it's like a genie out of the bottle. So, as far as the audience are concerned, and it comprises a lot of youngsters, there's something that I want you to want. In a sense, it's like a note of caution. Why do I say that? AI is here to stay in another 5 years. If you do not reconfigure yourself and adapt to technology, you will become defunct. So therefore, as far as young students are concerned, they need to understand and sort of reconfigure their approach to the profession. In our country, as it is, there is a huge divide between, let's say, haves and have-nots. Lawyers who have a lot of work and lawyers who don't have enough work to survive. So 90% of the work in value is with 5% of the lawyers, and 5% of the work is with 90% of the lawyers. If AI and technology comes into your lives, you'll have, the pie is only going to get smaller. So simple things like drafting a plaint, drafting a written statement, making an affidavit, drafting a will, drafting a lease and license agreement. All this, the machine is going to take over. Why? These are simple documents, and if you can have the relevant clauses fed or train it on certain data sets, you can very easily generate the output. So why would a client come to you? He'll say, listen, I don't need you. And if you do not adapt yourself to technology, it is actually technocrats who are going to take over your job. So what is it that we are supposed to do? Today we have lawyers who kind of know something about technology, like judges, So they walk into this world of law and do some bit of technology, and similarly some technocrats walk into the area of law. What you need to do is, and what Bar Council needs to do, and what colleges which they supervise and allow to function, is to have, I would say now compulsorily, courses which require lawyers to have knowledge about technology. Now, the upsides, let's say, the advantages of technology are that it's able to break large data sets into understandable bits of information. How does it do it? It looks at large data sets, reduces the complexity, and gives you a trend. How can you use it, and how people in the West, or the lawyers in the West, have sort of used AI up until now is, say for example, you have a patent suit. Typically, I don't know how many of you are dealing with IPR work, but even in India, in IPR, if you're on the original side, say in the Delhi High Court, it runs into about 1,000 pages, 2,000 pages, depending on what is the documentation filed. For a judge to go through that, or for a lawyer to go through that, it may take him about a couple of hours if he's a very efficient lawyer or an efficient judge. But for a machine, it may end up in 15, 20 minutes, or maybe even lesser. So therefore, in segregating relevant data from irrelevant data, so therefore reducing complex documentation into something which is digestible and understandable, you can use AI. Now, for predictive analysis, I heard the previous speakers in the previous session saying, we do a lot of mediation, which is also an alternate dispute resolution methodology. So another alternate dispute resolution methodology is neutral evaluation, which means you are able to tell to litigating parties what are the chances of your success. Now, if you're adept with technology, which is why I'm telling all the youngsters to, sort of use technology, become acquainted with technology. Why? Based on the previous case law and certain, let's say, previous cases. Suppose it's a landlord-tenant case. Let's take a very simple example. If you have previous, say, 10 years of judgments of the Supreme Court, or of the High Court where you are, of the courts where you are practicing, and you take certain landlord-tenant disputes, you will be able to tell your client very clearly, sir, the chances of your succeeding in this matter are 80%, 90%. Do you want to go for an alternate dispute resolution? Or do you want to litigate, spend, 10 years, not get your property, get your assets blocked? Or do you want to, sort of negotiate, sit on a table and give the tenant, say, 3 years, 5 years, depending it's a commercial property or a residential property, and get out of the problem? If it is a claim in tort, you can look at, again, the case law, the previous precedents, and work on it. So, predictive analysis, looking at evidence, helping you to draft certain, say for example, if you are a merger and amalgamation lawyer, help you to draft, broadly the merger and amalgamation scheme, but you will have to fill in the relevant material so that you can present it to your clients. But having said all that, there are grave amount of downsides of technology, and there are several, but let me tell you a couple of downsides which have come to light in other countries. Like in US, they use a system known as Compass. In UK, they use a system known as HEART. In Brazil, they use Victor. What does it do? It actually predicts, especially in the area of criminal law, what are the chances of a person re-offending. Now, this has come into a grave, it's been highlighted by civil rights activists. And this brings us to the example Justice Arvind Kumar gave. Why? Because, as I told you, AI is about training. If you train them on a particular data set, it will give you that kind of input. So, if you feed in data where, like in America, a lot of people who have gone behind bars are black or African Americans. So when it comes to parole and sentencing, if you use a program like this, it will invariably give you an answer saying there is a chance that he will reoffend, and further studies have shown that they have made errors. Now, if we bring it into India, actually, for some of us, I didn't know when I did some research, even in Delhi police perhaps is doing it, there are certain areas where they think there is a greater possibility of crime being committed than in others. From the court's point of view, it could be problematic, because then you look at certain areas from where a particular person, crime takes place, the person resides, and it enters your mind, and you start thinking on certain lines that there is a possibility of this person actually having committed a crime, or possibility of him reoffending. So these are areas which you need to look at. The third important thing when you are talking about using technology is, again, like courts in India, we've got e-filing system. Now when you file through the e-filing system, you and your clients end up actually giving us a lot of information. You give it to us voluntarily because you want your disputes to get resolved. We, as custodians of your data, need to have a system which is secure, which is trustworthy, and we follow two basic principles, i.e., that there is a limitation on collection of data, and the limitation is followed by the other principle, which is purpose limitation. That is, I do not collect data from you just because you come to my periphery, so to say, to get your dispute resolved. More than that is necessary. I'll give you an example. When I was in Madras High Court, I used to always wonder, why do they have in the affidavit let's say a column? Lawyers would always write, I am so-and-so, aged so-and-so, and Hindu. If it was a woman, I would have always thought it's very problematic. Why should she give her age unless it's relevant to the dispute? She should say, I am of legal age. That's good enough, correct? And if you're a litigant, which has nothing to do with personal law, why should he say he's Hindu, Muslim, Jain, or whatever? So this is a data that you give, and when this data multiplies and stays with us, and if the court, if someone were to breach our data, our server, then they get aggregated data which can be misutilized. So these are the broad peripheries in which AI works. So there are positives, there are negatives. I'm sure Amit is going to tell us what they are, and when we have a question and answer session, we will answer if you have and you are awake to ask questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Justice Rajiv Shagda. You've given 5 very important things. Unbundling of larger data is again a very important thing that you have mentioned to us. How to use the data is a very important thing, instead of just everybody having the data. And supervised and unsupervised IA, and the methodologies of drafting and practical analysis. Thank you very much. May I now request our Senior Counsel, Additional Solicitor General, Mr. S.V. Raju, to make his presentation.
Honorable Mr. Justice P.S. Narasimha, Honorable Mr. Justice Arvind Kumar, Honorable Mr. Justice Rajiv Shakhtarji, my colleague Aishwarya Bhattiji and Amit Dubeji, members of the Bar Council of India, esteemed brother lawyers, and ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to be simple. Now I'm forced to be short. So I can't take a lot of time, so I'll also be short and try to be a little sweet also. Now, as far as legal terms are concerned, there are so many terms. If we go into these terms, then most of the day will be over in understanding the terms. There are very complex terms, not only like artificial intelligence, but artificial general intelligence, generative intelligence, then so many chatbots, etc. So I don't want to touch any technical issues. The issue is that how does artificial intelligence change the lives of lawyers or the profession of lawyers? Therefore, one must understand what this artificial intelligence does. So, does it do anything that makes the work of the lawyer simple, easier, faster, and is it useful? The answer is yes. There are persons, pessimists, who believe that lawyers one day will be replaced by machines. Let me tell you, the days will never come. Lawyers can never be replaced by machines. A brilliant lawyer is a brilliant lawyer. No amount you spend on a machine can replace that lawyer. So all those skeptics, all those pessimists may try their level best, but the day will never come. This theory had cropped up 10 years back. It has again cropped up. They have come up with a theory that now machines will think like human beings. Machines so far are not thinking like human beings. They're doing some tasks which human beings do. So doing a task like what human beings do is not human beings. You have to think like a human being. You have to have emotions like human beings. You have to have anger. You have to have remorse. You have to have compassion, which a machine can never have. In deciding matters, you have to be sympathetic and see that if a crime has been committed in the fit of anger, a different treatment has to be given. All these things, these types of emotions, the machine can never have. So therefore, the fear that machines will take over is only a myth, and it will never surface, except in the fertile minds of some skeptics. Now I come to the other topic: what can artificial intelligence do? Now, artificial intelligence, instead of using the word artificial intelligence, I will use the word legal tools, or legal applications, or legal software. So forget those technical words, but applications, you know. Even SCC Online is an application. Even Manupatra is an application. Even Indian Kanun is an application. Some applications do specific tasks, and those tasks reduce the work of lawyers. It makes the work of lawyers easier. It makes the work of lawyers faster. And so that the lawyers can devote more time to think about the matters, what to argue, and maybe think of some other cases. And I'll tell you what, I am a litigation lawyer. So I will mainly deal with what softwares you have, or what a software, or what a legal tool, which people call legal AI tool, will do for litigation lawyers. Number one is it can do drafting. So AI-powered legal assistant tools automate legal work, such as contract review, contract analysis, document review, drafting of contract agreements, pleadings like plaints, written agreements in suits or even complaints in, in criminal matters. They may also draft appeals, revisions, SLPs, writ petitions, etc. So they would draft it. Ultimately, the lawyer will have to have a look at it and approve it. It is not as if these machines don't make mistakes. These machines make mistakes. This software makes mistakes. These legal tools make mistakes. You may have a draft which may contain something which is not applicable to your case. In legal terms or in AI terms, it is known as hallucination. So your software can hallucinate. It can give you wrong answers. So you have to be wary of that. You can use this software for perfect legal writing, particularly grammar styles, tones, etc. Just I'll have a glass of water. I was not well till yesterday, so that's it, but I'm not having any excuse. The most important thing is legal research. The young generation is so lucky. You have SCC Online, you have Manupatra, you have Indian Qanun, your software, which at the push of a button will give you cases. Say if you press what are the case laws on, say, anticipatory bail, you'll get 100 cases. In our young days, we never had this facility. We had to do it manually, maintain a diary, and then keep that diary because some lawyers will be saying, here's a good diary, let us take it, Xerox it, and keep it. And we had the fear of losing that diary, and if that diary is lost, all your data goes. You don't have that fear, you have a much cozy practice. You don't have to work as hard as we used to work. We never had, when we started practice, we never had computers. So if you made a mistake in typing, you have to retype the whole page. Those days are gone. So you should be thankful that your practice is easier. Then you can take, I'll come to research a little later. Research can be of 3 types. Mainly, generally, there can be another additional. First is case law-based research. So case law-based research, you can ask the software or the AI tool to give you particular judgment. What are the judgments, say, for murder and not amount, or culpable homicide? When is murder, not murder, but culpable homicide? So it'll give you judgments. Then, but ultimately you'll have to select which are the good ones for you. So I wanted to demonstrate how an AI would actually work. I have a computer, but unfortunately there is no HDMI wire here, and it will not work on a pen drive. But forget that. Then assistance during examination of witnesses. See, no amount of money you spend on a machine, whether the machine is good, very good, you put it before a witness and it will not be able to cross-examine a witness. Cross-examination of witness not only requires knowledge of the material, knowledge of the facts, but you have to cross-examine a witness depending on how the witness is, depending on what answers he gives. And it has to be that in the spur of the moment you can detect something and you have to put a question to him. That is not possible by a machine. The machine will give you probable 100 questions. So if you look at 100 questions, you will feel 50 are useless. 25, you will say, oh, 25, these are the questions which I thought about. Balance 25, you will say, maybe I'll have a look at it. But it can't be as precise and as effective, as sharp as an effective cross-examiner. Another area for which this software can be used is to find lacunas in judgments and evidence. And the last but not the least is use of AI for preparing final submissions. So when you want to prepare your final submissions, and if you have, say, 2,000 pages, the judgment sometimes may be 3,000 pages, the evidence may be 12,000 cases. In the 2G case where I appeared, there was voluminous evidence running into thousands of pages. So if a new lawyer is asked, sir, you have to argue an appeal in the 2G case, and you have 3 days to prepare, and you say, all right. You charge him, is a 2G case, you charge him heavy fees, he pays heavy fees, then he says, sir, shall I send the papers? The client is smiling when he goes, because the lawyer thought he's charged him heavy fees, yet the client is happy. But when the evidence comes, it comes in a truck. So when it comes in a truck, the lawyer is shocked. Now what can he do? He'll put 50 juniors to wade through the evidence, take 3 months or 6 months or even a year to comprehend, then 50 juniors will sit together, discuss, and what happens. But if it is an AI-driven software, it will digest that in a couple of hours and give you the gist of it, and you can understand the case, you can understand which witness is important, what evidence is important. It is at that stage that the software is useful to you. So even a junior lawyer who wants to be effective need not have experience, that much experience. Of course, experience counts. But if he has good software, he can do a wonderful job without having much experience if he knows how to use the AI tools effectively and properly. Now, what is the effect, or what do you achieve by using AI tools? The most important thing is you save time. Nothing like saving time. When we were in the law college, we were told that law is like a mistress. It will never let you go home. If you are in a case, you are there till the evening. You won't be allowed to go home. But today, young lawyers, if they're using AI tools, they'll finish out the matter in half an hour, and they say, tell the wife, come on, let's go for a movie. Those luxuries we didn't have because we didn't have AI. So you are again very lucky. Then you can give, the output is very high, quality is very high. That is the benefit of AI. Now I have a list of 13 best AI tools which is used in USA, 13 or probably 14, for different purposes. I have a list, I will give it to the Bar Council, they can give it to you, or if you want, I can dictate it to you, or I have only one copy, I'll give it to you, somebody can circulate it. Now I wanted to demonstrate what answers there's a free AI chatbot known as ChatGPT. Now what is a chatbot? Chatbot is when you interact with a machine. You are not interacting in a WhatsApp message, generally you interact with your friend. You send him message and he sends it back. But in a chatbot, the machine responds. So that is known as a chatbot. So I put certain questions to the chatbot. I tell you what questions I put and what answers it gave. Question number 1 that I put is, how is ChatGPT, not chatbot, ChatGPT useful to lawyers? So it gave me 8 instances. First instance is, I'll read those short, legal research. Lawyers can use ChatGPT to quickly access legal information and research on various cases, statutes, or regulations by asking specific legal questions. Second is drafting documents. Third is client communication. Fourth is case analysis. Fifth is continuing legal education. Sixth is quick answers, brainstorming and idea generation, and last is language assistance. You have many lawyers who are not very proficient in English language. They are more at home in, say, Gujarati or some other vernacular language. For them, this app will also translate it in the language you understand. So that is an added advantage to lawyers who are not so affluent and who come from vernacular background. So this is the answer that and you know how much time it took? 20 seconds. It was generated in 20 seconds. So what I've told you, what I've read out in a minute or two, actually took 20 seconds. Next question that I asked is AIR 1978 Supreme Court 20 overruled? So I asked whether a specific case was overruled. It said, go to an expert, I can't do it. Anyway, then I said, which are the important cases for anticipatory bail? He said, I have been only fed with information till 2021. I'll give you information prior to 2021, gave a list of correct cases. Then I said, summarize Gurbakh Singh CBS case, which is a very important case for anticipatory bail. And in a matter of moments, 30 seconds, it summarized it in 3/4 of a page and gave me the summary. So sometimes judges say, yes, what are the facts of the case? Yes, sir, 1 minute, just tap chatbot and say, here's the summary, facts, he'll give it to you, and yes, sir, these are the facts. That is how it is useful. Then, when it was followed, etc. Now, I'll show you an illustration where it hallucinated to one question, or it gave a wrong answer to a question which I put. I asked, who are the judges of the Supreme Court? It gave a list and said, so-and-so, I'll not name the judge. It said, so-and-so judge was retired in 21, but it said a sitting judge. So that is the type of answers I gave. I want to wrap this up because there's paucity of time. There's a question-answer session. I intended to, whatever questions I received, I intended to put it to Chat GPT and get the answers rather than me answering the same, because this is an AI session, not a human session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Raju Garu. You inspired the audience by your statement that there is nothing to fear for lawyers with the advent of AI. And another very important thing you said is that even AI can commit mistakes. So that's another hope we have. If AI commits mistakes, then that's yet another chance for lawyer to file a case against AI and make a little more build-up on that. Thank you very much for your, very, very much for your exposition, and in your inimitable way, the way you handle your criminal big matters, that you have simplified it and then conveyed it to us. May I now request Aishwarya Bhati, Learned Additional Solicitor General, to make her presentation.
Honorable Chairman and the respected dais and leaders of the bar and bar students and colleagues. 5 minutes is what I'm going to share my views on. I'll try to cover aspects which have not been covered. So transformation by artificial intelligence. Transformation, no doubt, it is writ large. It is magnificent, it is glorious. Whether it's the space, ISRO trying to wake up the Vikram lander today, let's hope we hear some good news about it, or surgeries happening in operation theaters with the help of tools, machine learning, artificial intelligence, or bringing it closer to our legal landscape. The transformation is immense because our delay, condemnation of delay applications, it has been almost 2 decades that I saw the excuses that I saw in the first decade of my practice, where we would make excuses, sometimes real and sometimes made up, to say that the delay occasioned because we did not know what was the next date, the matter got disposed of, and we did not know the last date happened 3 years back, and it doesn't happen anymore because the system is all automated. The clients know what their dates are. before the COVID pandemic hit us, it was unheard of to be sitting in a small town in Rajasthan or a remote satellite town in Karnataka and think of appearing before the Supreme Court, or sitting in some other hamlets and appearing before the constitutional courts of the state. It is the way of life today. 33 benches in Orissa High Court. It is a reality today. These are the changes that we have adopted, embraced, and I think COVID pandemic gave it an impetus. I think there are a lot of things that we would have taken longer. Our biological process of evolution would have been much slower in a lot of things, but the transformation has been immense. And I want to highlight the aspect of bringing the citizen, the consumer of justice, the person, that entity for whom we all exist, the whole infrastructure of justice delivery mechanism exists. No, of course, no taking away the place of lawyers. I totally agree with Raju, sir. I think machine learning, for one, cannot compare with human stupidity. And I think that is going to be our the point, the pivotal point, that the compassion, the stupidity, the excellence, the exuberance, the human skills that we have, machine learning. But now, what do we do? I mean, tools, you've been told about them. In my opinion, I feel that when a lawyer or a person in the justice delivery mechanism embraces technology, embraces tools, embraces machine learning, embraces artificial intelligence in its different manifestations, what we do is we empower ourselves. I often persuade some of my colleagues to shift to iPads for arguments, and these have become our complete offices now. Very useful. And the way I tell them is, without your equipment and technology, you are an excellent lawyer, but you are like that excellent soldier in the battlefield. But with the help of tools, technology, what you do is you become a smart soldier. You have the night vision glasses, you have the grenade launcher, you have the machine gun, you have the satellite connectivity, everything. So it is to enhance our tools. That is why we need to embrace it wholeheartedly. And when we embrace it wholeheartedly, we are going to become better harbingers for the consumer of justice, to the citizen who ultimately comes to our system for the justice delivery mechanism. Ultimately, the access to justice is what has to be enhanced, what has to be, and Justice Arvind Kumar rightly pointed out, I mean, India does not have a luxury with our kinds of areas, with our kind of diversity. It's not just about languages. We have forever, another example that we used to give, in our delay applications was that the official translator took more time than what was required, and obviously we got it into delay. It's not there anymore. There are transcripts coming out in whatever language you want, and the translations are, now how is that translation important? For a country like India, which has more than 20 languages, I mean, that's just in the constitution, but we are a country where access to justice, for it to be meaningful, has to be in the language of the consumer, to the last person. So that whole aspect that Justice Narasimha also pointed out in the beginning is really the transformation that is happening for access to justice. And I just want to highlight one aspect. When Sam Altman, the founder of ChatGPT, he was asked what he thinks is the caution. Of course, he said, "I'm scared of ChatGPT." Because after all, this is machine learning, which is learning itself. So we really don't know. We will have to evolve. We will have to continue to walk with it. But the option is very clear, whether we walk with it, whether we embrace the tools, or we go sit in our den and try to become extinct like dinosaurs. I don't think we have the luxury and the liberty to become dinosaurs. We have to walk with it, embrace the technology, and adopt the technology to make a real difference in the justice delivery mechanism. In my opinion, the caution is only for us to embrace it in a manner which our evidence principle already says, like a may presume. When you pick up an answer from the chat GPT, you may take it as a may presume kind of a situation. And then you see whether that may presume, because the tools are incredible, but if you take it as a gospel truth, if you take it as a conclusive proof, then you will be governed by the tools rather than you governing the tools. Those are some of my experiences and thoughts that I thought I'll share with you. And I just want to end by one saying of Stephen Hawking, the legendary physicist. He said that the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of human race. It would take off on its own and redesign itself at an ever-increasing rate. Humans, who are limited by slow biological evolution, cannot compete and would be superseded. Great man, visionary man, but I think it's imperative for us to ensure that we stay on top of this technology, we stay on top of these tools, so that we use them rather than them using us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aishwarya ji. The word of caution was very important, because the transformation that you are talking about is for whom? It is for the citizen and for access of justice. And all this progress, you must always test in the context of what a former president of America said. He said, it's very important for you to note, whatever progress that we make, he said, the test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little, unquote. That's the real test of our progress. Now may I request we have heard enough of lawyers, enough of judges now. The tech man is here. The tech man is here, the domain expert, Mr. Amit Dubey. So he'll make his presentation and enlighten us.
Good evening, everyone. Somebody told me that I can fix my laptop with this projector if it is possible. Can you help me out? Anybody is there? Then I can make it a little more interesting. And if not, I can continue. No problem. क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ कहावत है पूजा तीन प्रकार की छोटी बड़ी मझोल. So honorable judges, Mr. Narasimha, Mr. Rajiv sir, Mr. Arvind Kumar, senior advocate, Mr. Raju and Mrs. Aishwarya Bhati, friends, lawyers, I'm a cybercrime investigator. So whatever I have learned in my life, I have learned through criminals. And I truly believe criminals are innovators, because every time I solve a case, I learn something out of it. We all know that Twitter was acquired a few months back, and then it was hacked within 2 weeks. FBI started the investigation and they arrested 3 guys, 17 years old Nima Fazeli from Orlando, 19 years old Graham Yuan Clark from Florida, and a 20 years old guy. Actually, this 17 years old guy was behind this hack. Now, we can't say that Twitter was not using antivirus system or endpoint protection system or intrusion prevention system or intrusion detection system or firewalls or routers or gateways or blah, blah, blah. Whatever you name it, they had it. Despite of that, it was hacked by a 17 years old guy who was not even going to college. Why it is so? If you just Google top 10 hackers of the world, you will find Kevin Mitnick, Steve Ballmer, and many, many guys, and eventually you will realize that they have done their best work when they were 16, 17 years of age. Why it happens? And then we are talking about here artificial intelligence. You all have your mobile phone in your hand, you just open your phone and type a link. Then I can't type and show now. That's why I knew it. No problem. I just wanted to do some exercise here. Apne phone mein, if you could type a link, privacy.net/analyzer. And just, there will be a button called Start Test, you have to click it. It will start showing you some of your information which is taken silently from your device without your permission. They didn't ask any permission, and this can be done by any link, any damn link that you click on any day. So every day we click so many links. They'll take your location, they'll take your device type, they'll take your SIM type, they'll take your battery status, they'll take your browser resolution, they'll take your many, many other personal details. on a single click. So I was running a campaign on a Z business where I invited mobile phones, iPhone and Android phone, and I booked a cab from Film City to airport. And I showed that iPhone was also always giving me 15-20% higher fare than Android phone. At the same time, when I'm booking the cab from the same location to the same location. Same thing when I did with 2 Android phones having 20% battery and 80% battery, the phone which had 20% battery, it was giving me more fare all the time. When I ran that show, I got a mail from those operators that it could be a coincidence. I repeated the show next day, and then they said, sorry, there was a bug, I'll fix it. But this can't be a bug, because silently they can steal so much information from your device. That's why they could all do this. And every such information is getting used against you. You have to just open Play Store from where you install your applications. On Play Store, you have just click Facebook. Facebook जब click करेंगे, click करिए Facebook पर, तो नीचे एक option आएगा, See Details करके. Click that See Details, and it will show you the information which Facebook has been capturing from your device since last 15 years. It includes your precise location, exact location. It includes your name, email ID, phone number, address. When you open an account, you don't give your address to Facebook. You never give, right? Facebook says that I know the address of each and everyone who is on my platform. Then they say that we know your political ideology, to whom you voted last time. We know it. And I'm not in doubt, I know it. And then your religious belief, then your sexual orientation, then your financial status, then your health status, your everything, whatever you are doing in your phone, they are recording and capturing everything. So just see it. If you will see it, you will be shocked. Because we all are using it without knowing that this data is going out. Why I'm referring this here on for AI? Because the backbone of AI is data. All these companies, they were collecting this data since many, many years so that they can come up with an AI tool. And why they wanted to build this AI? Because they want to control you. Because we are the product of the data that has been fed to us since our birth. We are the product of the data. हम उस data का ही product हैं. If I would have taken birth from, instead of Jhansi, I would have taken birth in Romania, I would have become a different person altogether, speaking different language, eating different food, wearing different clothes, and defending that person all through my life, that I am this person. So we are the product of the data. Now, because we are consuming this data, all our data is already shared with all these intermediaries, they can manipulate our mind easily. And they can take decisions on our behalf. आज OTT पे हम क्या देखेंगे, खाना हम क्या खाएंगे, किस रेस्टोरेंट में जाएंगे, कार कौन सी खरीदेंगे, से लेकर पॉलिटिकली डिसीजन क्या लेंगे, वो तक they can decide on our behalf. That was their mandate. And that's why AI is dangerous. Because AI is not just to facilitate you, but actually to manipulate you. And if they will start manipulating us, then it doesn't matter whether we are achieving singularity today or after 6 years. What is singularity? I'm just wrapping up my session because we have very short time. I could have shared many, many interesting anecdotes with you. But when AI journey was started at that time, John McCarthy, he gave a phenomena that there'll be a time when collective intelligence of human beings on earth will be less than the intelligence of a single computer. And that time we will call it singularity. So a university started in US, Singularity University, and they are researching around it, the impact of singularity on human being. Just 2 years back when GPT thing started, generative pre-trained transformers, which means now we can generate things like human beings. How many of you use ChatGPT? I could see many hands, almost 50% or 30%. Have you ever asked ChatGPT to write a story, poem, picture, music? Did you try that? It creates amazing music, beautiful pictures. And if you want the subsidiary tools, I can suggest you here. But the challenge is that you will have so much content in next 2 years. The content which humans have generated in this creative field in last many, many years, I think more than that you may generate in next 2 years. Because every time you ask, in a second it creates a very beautiful poem with all emotions. Then you can ask, add romance, add thrill, add suspense, whatever emotions you want, and you'll keep on adding it, improving it. Eventually, you will say, oh, this is something which I wanted to write. So the Observer magazine, they asked me to write an article on quantum computing. I was so busy, and they were chasing me. So night, I used ChatGPT, wrote an article, copy-pasted it, and shared it with them. They published it. And the next 2 days, they sent me money as well. Then they send me a link that, oh, this is already published, and there is an online link. Can you please post it on your social media account? I posted it on my social media account. I got excellent feedbacks from my friends. What an article, what have you written? What elaborative article comparing China and Indian quantum growth and all. Then I thought, एक बार मैं भी पढ़ लेता हूँ यार, इतना अच्छा क्या लिख दिया. When I actually read it, I found it amazing. Even after 2-3 days of effort, I could not have written it. So what sir has given beautiful use cases. When you have to write or draft so many things, you know the context, you can use ChatGPT. I give a training to police officers how to write crime investigation report using ChatGPT. So you have to just submit your evidences and then brief story, and it will give a very beautiful report. Wonderfully, with all contextual informations and the case references, everything. So that is the power that we have to exploit, for sure. But considering the challenges as well. I have given you a hint of either side. And did I use to solve cases using AI? So there was a case when a person was threatening to a corporate CEO among top 10 richest person of India. And we didn't get any clue. We just had the pattern that this guy sends an email from Proton Mail. Proton Mail is a secure email. And other than that, we don't have any other information. But there is a concept called digital DNA. Digital DNA is a pattern through which we can identify you easily. The way you use internet, the way I use internet, the way he is using internet is entirely different. If I get that pattern, I can identify you among millions of people easily. I use that, and that was my first taste of AI, because we had so much data, and we just had the digital DNA of this person, and I had to identify this person among those millions possibilities. So AI can help us to that extent in future, where nobody can even hide using most of the latest technologies. Then we are having challenges like Fraud GPT. We are having challenges like Worm GPT. Fraud GPT is a tool which is developed only to create frauds. And you can ask all kind of modus operandis. You can create viruses, malwares, or offensive things through that. Similarly, Worm GPT. So before we get the positive use of AI in our life, there'll be criminals already ready with negative use cases of it. And we are already facing those challenges. There is a tool called Descript.com. You can use it to clone anybody's voice. There was a politician who asked me to clone his voice so that he can speak in multiple languages. I created that profile, and I shared it with him. When he heard this, his own voice, in Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, he said, if you could do this, others could also do this. Yes, anybody can do this. Well, then don't do this. Because then how will I differentiate that this is done by me or somebody else? Now, these are the ethical challenges that we'll have in future. With this, I think I'll have to stop because we are already too late. Thank you so much. All the best. Jai Hind.
That was an excellent exposition, Mr. Amit Dubey. As you have told us that you have been taught by the criminals quite a bit, and you know the intimate lives of how they work, and you have understood how the intimate life of AI is also there. I heard of a book called the Chora Shastra. There is a Shastra where there's a description of how theft is being done and how it is doing, and you know it so intimately. That was excellent. Thank you very much.
Now I request Mr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy to extend vote of thanks to the dignitaries of the dais on the dais.
On behalf of the Bar Council of India, Chairman Sri Manan Kumar Mishra and Vice Chairman Mr. S. Prabhakaran and members of Bar Council of India and the entire legal fraternity of this country, we extend heartfelt thanks to Honorable Justice Sri P.S. Narasimha sir for chairing this session and is able the chairing of the session. All the panelists have furnished the very valuable information to all the participants here. Most of them came from the district bar associations, the district bar presidents. Really, the topic, which is artificial intelligence transforming the legal landscape, is a new topic for the legal fraternity of the rural areas. But today, with your chairmanship and also all the very efficient speakers has spoken very well about the advantages and disadvantages. Sir, we thank you very much, Justice P.S. Narasimha sir, for chairing this session. And also, we thank Honorable Justice Sri Arvind Kumar sir for co-chairing this session. He has emphasized that bail matters, there cannot be, artificial intelligence cannot be a substitute. There where there is an application of mind is required. So therefore, sir, we really, this is an important aspect in particularly criminal matters. And we also thank Honorable Mr. Justice Sri Raju Shekandar sir, who has highlighted the advantage.
All the dignitaries on the dais and off the dais, I welcome you all on behalf of the Bar Council of India on this International Lawyers Conference. I request Mr. D.P. Dull to please kindly facilitate Justice J.K. Maheshwari.